Kettle of Fish.
I wasn't on my phone.
Except you definitely were.
No. I was just turning it on Do Not Disturb, I swear. This is lunch all over again, isn't it?
This is our entire lunch that we've had this morning, which was also a disaster. Welcome to Kettle of Fish. I'm your host, CP, and this is your host...
Jack.
This is a podcast dedicated to our inability to stay on topic in a conversation. So join us as we jump from one kettle of fish to another and try not to get too annoyed when we veer off conversation too much.
Speaking of which, hey, all right. So it's a question and a topic I want to bring up.
Okay.
A story. Do you have an alter ego for any various states of inebriation that you have?
Yeah.
Have you ever been like so biblically drunk that your friends have been like, that wasn't Courtney last night, that was blank?
Oh, it's like that meme. That was Patricia.
Yeah.
I definitely do, and I feel like the most common one that comes up is I tend to talk very British when I get drunk. Which I feel like has started to become a bit of a meme lately.
Yeah.
People, a bottle of water, but I've taken that and run with it quite a few times.
I feel like I've heard people talk about how they've just become British with it. I don't get it. Like,
see, it's funny because my bloodline is British in my family, but I'm born and raised here. I have no excuse.
Really none. Yeah.
No. So yeah, British has got to be my go-to one, but I think I've seen quite a few alter egos of yours come out over the years.
Look, so my group of friends that like I hang out with now, there's 5. There's 5 different alter egos just in that friendship group for me.
Yeah, wow.
So there's the newest one. It actually doesn't make sense if I explain it in that order, so I'm going to explain it in this order first. So the oldest one was Jake. And it was just me, but really drunk, and I get really loud when I'm drunk, and I was acting like a bit of a guy named Jake. And it was funny because my name's Jack, and Jake sounds kind of close. Mm-hmm. And then I got wine drunk like a week later, and they were like, it's a little bit more sophisticated, so we'll call him Jacob.
Okay, yep.
Probably a month goes by, I get biblically drunk, like the worst I've ever been at this point in time.
Which for you is a good effort.
Yeah. And they go, wow, that like you were a monster last night. Like just so drunk, so loud, so obnoxious. At one point, like I used to have like a sign that said like Sony on the shelf, and I had my webcam on and we were in a Discord call, and I just kept saying to one of my friends, hey, do you know I'm sponsored by Sony? And then just...
So not only were you the most drunk you've ever been, you were drunk by yourself in your house on a group chat call.
Yep.
Yep.
That's where Jacobus comes out.
Jacobus?
Yeah, so that's his name, Jacobus, because it sounds like a fucking monster. So Jacobus. You go from Jacob, Jacobus. It doesn't stop there. So this name came up recently when I was in a FaceTime call with 2 of my mates and someone else. And I was drinking gin that night. I've never really drunk gin. I drank half a bottle of gin. Not good. Jacobus Prime came out. So...
Yeah.
So Darcy said to me the next morning, I have never seen you that bad. Like, that was worse than Jacobus. So we came up with Jacobus Prime.
Yeah. Next level Jacobus.
Yeah. And I don't think it can get worse than that. Mm-hmm. Like, it was blackout drunk, like my 18th birthday level of drunk. Mm-hmm. Jacobus Prime. So tell me about your alter egos.
I don't think I've got any that are as bad as yours. I don't think I go that far. I don't drink that often. When I do, the British one has got to be the main one. But I talk a little bit like I'm a British old man. There is a...
Oh, actually, while we're on the train, so Jacobus is generally vodka drunk, and you've seen me at probably the wackest vodka drunk I've ever been. It was at a party when we were 18. I think was it your 18th?
My 18th didn't involve that much drinking, so it can't have been.
No, okay, so it was... Yeah, okay.
I distinctly remember at some point, for some reason...
Childish Gambino bonfire is all I'm going to say, and you will know exactly the story that I'm bringing up.
The one I was going to bring up is you hanging upside down.
Yep, rapping all of the lyrics to Childish Gambino, hanging from like a crossbeam in a garage, just hanging by just my ankles, and rapping Childish Gambino bonfire. I don't think we have the video anywhere.
I know that there's a still shot of it somewhere, and I just remember your eyes being the widest I've ever seen anyone's eyes being, and it was probably because all the blood was rushing to your head. Yeah.
Yep, that was Jacobus before he was Jacobus.
That was pre-Jacobus. Jacobus was coming out of his shell.
It's, yeah. So now I only drink socially.
Which is still too much.
Hey, I've had like one night of drinking in the last 3 weeks. Which for me is very impressive.
3 weeks? One night in 3 weeks. I'm pretty sure I've drunk one night in 3 months. And it was because we were on FaceTime together and you were like, have a drink. And I was like, I guess so.
That's my signature. FaceTiming people and getting them to drink with me. Hey, what's with the Among Us thing on the bench?
You mean this guy over here?
Yeah, Among Us.
Among Us.
So, I do know the story, and that just reminds me. We were in, like, Uncle Buck's, which is like a $2 shop in our town.
For anyone that's, not from the southeast of Melbourne, that's going to sound absolutely ridiculous.
And we just hear from, like, 3 aisles away, this lady go, "Oh, you could be Among Us."
Among Us. Among Us.
I think she's talking about Halloween or something, and I started pissing myself laughing. We turn around the corner and find that.
And find this guy. The best and worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't even really remember a jelly bean being a hat option in Among Us.
I think it's a beret.
I only played Among Us one time. I got invited to play one time with a group of friends, and obviously, like, in the game, you're meant to be dead silent. And everyone had named themselves after celebrities, and the game started, and I didn't really understand the concept of the game. So, like, 2 seconds into the game, I scream, "It's Celine Dion!"
Were you murdered by Celine Dion?
No.
Who is Celine Dion? I am not with the celebrities.
Yeah, she's like,
oh, her!
Oh, no, that's Whitney Houston.
Oh. We're going to have to call your sister and ask her who Celine Dion is.
Yeah, we could, but my phone's recording today.
Do you know her number? Oh, my phone.
Oh, we can call her on Facebook.
I'll cut this out. Or maybe I won't. It's really awkward. How about that weather?
Oh, good, mate.
Hayley Parrish.
Jack Hunter.
Courtney has a question for you.
All right.
Who is Celine Dion?
What did you say? Who was Celine Dion?
Yeah, we don't know.
What does she do? I know she's a singer. Can you give us a Celine Dion song?
I'm going to be real honest with you. Now that you've said Celine Dion, I couldn't name one Celine Dion anything.
You're supposed to be our celebrity correspondent, Hayley. You're also...
I'm working on it.
You're being recorded right now.
I didn't consent to this. I'm calling my lawyer.
Our phone a friend is phoning a friend.
I'm just trying to make Vegie Mac for lunch. Alright?
Vegie Mac, for anyone that's curious, is Vegan Easy Mac.
Are you at work right now?
No. I'm at home making Vegie Mac.
Have you got an answer for us, Hayley?
I really wish I were a funnier person. I wish I did. But I'm just...
She sings a song. I know she sings a song about being lonely.
While we're on this Kettle of Fish, I apparently sent a message to your sister on the 12th of February at 11 p.m. saying, "I'm sorry for harassing you." Was I with you?
Yes. And this was the same night. I wasn't going to bring it up this episode, but now I'm going to. And I have video footage that is going to be put in this. Do you remember anything about that night? Because that instantly I know what that is.
Was that Regan's 21st?
It was at Regan's 21st birthday. Do you remember how much alcohol you consumed at the Pelham Hotel?
I believe I stated, if I throw up in your car, I will bank transfer you $4,723.56.
I have a feeling it was more like $3,700 to... Should we place a bet here? How much money did you promise to transfer me?
I don't think we wrote it down anywhere.
Oh, I have it. Because you got your phone out, opened your bank app, and then opened your calculator app and divided the exact
total... did we write that down?
I've got it on film. I've got it on film. You showing me your phone.
Okay, this gives us a good segue. Whoever's right, or whoever's closest to right, has to use the Among Us key until the next person is wrong.
I feel like the person that's wrong.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, okay. So the person who is... So right now, I'm saying I think the amount was $3,785.
I'm going to say it's around $4,200.
Okay.
We'll get back to that.
Coming back to what we thought this was. Anyway.
That was just a whole kettle of fish.
That was a different kettle of fish. We would have put that video in earlier. So Jack was very, very drunk and I was very, very sober. And Jack had promised me half of his bank allowance, or bank net
account,
worth, sorry. If he threw up in my car because I was not wanting to drive him home. I was ready to leave him there.
Wait, why was Haley involved in that?
Because then you started calling my sister whilst I was driving you home.
Oh, I did. Because I had a question for her.
Yeah.
Which I feel like that's the only reason I ever talk to your sister.
Exhibit A. So we found this Among Us keychain, and we thought it would be funny to be a punishment in an ongoing segment in this show, where we will replace this ugly keychain with a different punishment, so that the next time someone does something wrong in whatever bet we make, they have to take a punishment.
Funny part about that, the keychain was as much as the jar. The jar was $4.99. Thank you, Courtney.
No expenses were spared on this show.
Okay, well, I think that is safe to bring us to your story.
Yes. The other day, Jack. I say the other day, this happens quite often. You messaged me and I ignored you.
Was that yesterday?
Possibly.
Was it when I said at 7 a.m, hey, I'm having a manic episode and I shaved off half my eyebrow?
Exactly that.
Okay, that was yesterday morning.
I saw this message. I was in bed, I saw this message. I looked at it. I looked at the eyebrow. And then I put my phone back down on silent. Tell me a little bit about what's happened here.
Okay, so I went to bed at midnight, Sunday night. Wait, no, what day is it today? Wednesday? Tuesday?
Monday night.
Monday night. I went to bed at midnight on Monday night, and I woke up 2 hours later to very severe leg cramps and couldn't fall back asleep. So at this point, 6 hours had passed, or whatever. It was 5:30 in the morning, so you do the math. That's 3.5 hours. I did the math for you. You're welcome. 3.5 hours pass. I am sitting there, and I think I should shave a slit in my eyebrow. So I go into the bathroom after having watched an episode of Puberty Blues, which arguably was not a great idea. And I'm thinking, what's the best way to do this? So I get my little fucking razor blade out, and I'm like, no, that's gonna hurt. So then I get an electric shaver out, and I do a little bit, and I'm like, oh, it looks okay, but a little bit at the top was still left, and a little bit at the bottom was still left. So it was just kind of looked like hair had fallen out. So I go in for another swing, and I'm like, all right, I'll just hold it down a little bit longer. Hand slips, cut off a quarter of my eyebrow. Send Courtney a text. I just had a manic episode. I'm like, I need someone to tell me this doesn't look awful and everything is going to be okay. I'll text Courtney.
I ignored it. I then believe I ignored your FaceTime call.
I called Courtney 4 times yesterday.
I ignored all 4 of them, and then you text me saying, "Are we still filming tomorrow?" And I think an hour later I might have responded, "I'll call you, don't worry," and then didn't call you.
You promised to call me back twice.
And I never did.
So what I'm getting is your sister, who I barely know, is more reliable than you.
Absolutely. Anyone's more reliable than me.
Was that the whole story you wanted to tell?
I just wanted to bring up I wanted to publicly air out your shame.
You were very quiet for a while, and I was like, we're going to have to cut this segment because it is not good, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you doing that's greasy in your bathtub?
I don't actually use my bathtub that often.
Me either.
Which is funny because when I was moving into the place that I am in
Oh
now,
yeah, you shop for a place with a bathtub.
I purposefully look for a place with a bathtub.
Of course you do.
It was a priority of mine.
Yeah.
I've used it twice, one of those in which I'm pretty sure it was because I had wine and I wanted to live out I live in my own place.
I'm a middle-aged mom.
I'm a middle-aged mum. I'm going to drink a glass of wine even though it gives me a headache and sit in a bath even though it also gives me a headache.
Yeah.
In saying that, Jack, how clean is your bathtub?
Oh. Alright, so the night Jacobus Prime came out, he couldn't make it all the way to the toilet to throw up. So I threw up what I'm going to estimate was 2 litres of vomit into my bathtub. And it sat there for a full day while I was hungover. And then I found out my brother was coming over, and I was like, no, I better go clean that. And it was the most disgusting experience of my life. Hey, so do you know your neighbours?
My next door neighbour, the same one that I run into quite often when we're doing the bins. Recently, I should backtrack a little bit, we've had someone knocking on our door quite often. And when we go outside, there's no one there. And one day I was at work and my sister called me and she said, "Hey, someone's knocking on the door." Which, Hayley, if someone knocks on the door, you are now an adult. You can answer the door.
Hayley, our one viewer of this podcast, please answer the door.
You can answer the door. I realised I've had this little elf out for the whole time. Hayley's calling me saying, "There's someone at the door." She goes to the door. No one's there. There's a Toyota Camry out the front. Drives away. I think nothing of it. I'm sitting at home. Someone knocks on the door. I go out the front. There's a Toyota Camry. No one's there. Okay, cool. It's just happened again. Then it happens another time. And at this point, I bolt to the door. I must know who's knocking on the door. And I see my neighbour in his pyjamas leaning on my front door, grabbing like an Uber Eats bag. And I was in this awkward position where I hadn't unlocked my fly screen door, so he couldn't actually see me. I'd only opened like the big door, not the security door. And so I just sort of watched him, and he looked because he heard something, but he didn't know if I was there, and just ran away with the Uber Eats. And that's when I figured it out. The Uber Eats driver has been delivering to the wrong door.
I like to think it's the same Uber Eats driver.
I do too, considering it was every time it was a Toyota Camry, which is just a popular, mid-range car.
Yeah, Uber Eats car.
And it's an Uber Eats car.
I think Uber has like a policy where you have to have a certain type of car to drive Uber Eats. And I feel like the Camry is a popular car.
It's safe. It's reliable. It constantly shows up to the wrong door.
It's affordable. There's plenty of them on the second-hand market. It's a good car.
It's a good car. It's a
know.
good Uber Eats car.
Never driven one, but I'm assuming it's a good car.
Unlike your car.
That's a different kettle of fish.
That is a different kettle of fish.
Woo, we said the thing.
So no, I do not know my neighbours, but we have this contractual agreement that when someone knocks on my door, I don't answer it for 3 minutes, just in case it was the Uber Eats driver delivering the Uber Eats to the wrong house again.
Okay, well, I do know my neighbours.
Mm-hmm.
Quite well, actually. I didn't know them at all until one fateful night. They moved in next door probably 3 weeks after I moved in here. And this story takes place like probably 3 months later. So I'd never really met them. I'd always given them a nod if I saw them at, like when we were both leaving the house or something like that.
Friendly, I'm taking the bins out.
You know, yeah. Or like I'm parking and I like, you know, lift my hand off the wheel and do the like the wheel whoop. And so, you know, never really spoken to them. I'm in my bedroom one night. It's probably 1:30 in the morning. I'd really been considering getting Uber Eats, but nothing was open because it was Monday and Tuesday morning.
You can only get like the grocery store or the McDonald's.
So I put some like chips in the oven and I hear a pounding at the door and I'm like, did I order Uber Eats? Like what? And at this point I'm in my underwear and I'm like, okay. And I ignore it because I'm in my bedroom. And like that's on the other end of the house. So I was like, oh, maybe I just heard it. Mm-hmm. Probably like 10 seconds pass, the pounding continues. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? So, and then I see like a shape through like the opaque glass in front of my front door. And I'm like,
cool, I'm dying.
So, you know, I'm a big scary man, obviously, with the...
I'm sure like my arms are bigger than yours.
Oh, your arms are bigger than my... Your forearms are bigger than my bicep.
Yeah.
Like... Anyway, so I see a shape and I go, hello? I'm terrified. I'm like, hello? Can I help you? And this guy, I just hear like this voice that is like probably deeper than my deep voice go, hey, it's me from next door. And I'm like, oh, hang on.
It's me from next door.
And I go, oh, hang on, give me a second. I like fucking run and find a shirt, throw that on. Still in my underpants, like just with a shirt now. Mm-hmm. And I open the door and he's just chilling there. He's like, hey, blah, blah, blah. There was like some kids like trying to break into their house and nick-knocking and stuff like, I don't know. I don't really know what was happening. And so he was just like, oh, I've just called the police. So if the police rock up, like, don't freak out. Like, they're just coming to us. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, thanks for letting me know. Weird that it was at 1:30 in the morning. So anyway, a few weeks pass and...
Is this another Uber Eats related story?
No, it's not. I'm laying on my couch watching a movie and like the movie's got probably like 15 minutes left and I just hear their dog going nuts. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Mm-hmm. And so... like, I finished the movie, and, like, it's just been, like, yelping for, like, 15 minutes. I'm like, I guess it just really wants to go inside. And then, like, the longer, like, the movie finishes, I turn the, like, PlayStation off. And then I, like, pay attention. I'm like, it sounds like it's coming from my driveway. And I'm like, that is weird. And so I go outside, and I see nothing on the front lawn. I close the door, and then I just hear, like, really aggressive barking, like the dog was, like, afraid of me. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, So I open the door, and... Would you know it, but there's a hole being dug under my fence by a dog and its head is stuck underneath the fence. And I've just ignored it for effectively 20 minutes. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel so awful. I'm like pounding on the people's next door's house. They're not home. I'm like, am I going to have to fucking jump their fence? I call my sister who's a vet. I'm like, help me.
Phone Ebony.
That is the only thing I do in a crisis. She's like, oh, I'm at her partner's place, and so I'm like, okay, I'm like, I might need you to come over and help me get this dog out. And like, I'm just about to jump the fence and like try to pull it out, and like it just somehow like managed to wiggle away because I think it was fucking afraid of me. Like, and I'm like, oh my God. So I moved my bin in front of the hole. They get home, and I'm like, hey, your dog like got its head stuck. You might want to fix that fence. So I've had 2 interactions with these people, and it's just been the weirdest interactions. There was a third interaction, which I'm not going to get into the podcast.
For Jack's personal safety.
If you really want to know, there's something on my TikTok about it.
Well, insert here or link here. Because it's really funny and sad.
And scary.
Actually, it is quite scary, to be fair.
So coming back to the eyebrow slit, a colleague of mine said, I told you this before, but a colleague of mine said, hey, with that eyebrow slit, you know it's going to take 3 months to grow back, not to scare you. And I said, ma'am, I've been scared once in my adult life. I do not think an eyebrow slit is going to scare me.
That's just sad. I feel like it'll take less than 3 months, though.
Yeah. Well, I think it's your turn.
I think it's our turn.
This episode of Kettle of Fish is sponsored by Connor's Computers.
Connor's Computers is a local computer business that builds, repairs, and sells computers, I think. I didn't do a lot of research into it beforehand.
I had a computer and I decided it was time for an upgrade. And so I went to Connor's Computers and got a new computer.
Did you actually?
Yeah, I actually did.
How did you rate your service?
It was very good. Regan was very helpful and very knowledgeable.
Thanks, Regan, for sponsoring today's episode of Kettle of Fish.
Please use code FISH at checkout. There's no link. He doesn't have a website.
It's not a very good business model now, is it? So let's talk about Regan.
When we do the history of us, we'll bring up Regan because I think it's really funny and there's a lot of funny stories about Regan. And he will be a guest on the podcast at some point. But for now, Regan is our unpaid intern.
He doesn't know it yet, but he is our unpaid intern. We've already hired him.
This is how he's finding out. Regan, when you listen to this episode, please give us a call and use code FISH.
We have plenty of business opportunities we'd love to discuss with you.
Mostly you being our cameraman and not getting paid for your time.
And also sponsoring our episodes.
Thank you, Regan.
Thanks, Regan.
What does second mean?
Second means our second sponsor. Jack, we've always said that we will do anything for our sponsors. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Anything.
I would do absolutely anything for our sponsors.
Anything?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you what you want. Absolutely anything.
Coming back to Hayley. I told you something that Hayley's been making and is going to start selling soon. Do you remember what that was?
Earrings.
Earrings. A week ago. And I tried to film it, but I failed. I asked you...
As you do.
Story of my life. I asked you...
Wait, when were you filming me?
I was standing right there. You were in the kitchen. And I asked you, hey, Jack, you had a nose piercing recently, didn't you?
Yes. Yes, Courtney, I did.
Interesting. Is that the only piercing you've ever had?
Yes, Courtney, it was.
Would you ever get your ears pierced?
Yeah, probably. Maybe. I don't know.
Cut that. Hayley has agreed, somewhat, to be our sponsor. If Jack agrees to get his ear pierced and wear one of Hayley's, insert photo here, tiny mushroom earrings.
Tiny mushroom? Like a Mario mushroom?
Like a tiny mushroom.
Like a real mushroom?
Like a tiny mushroom.
Like a real mushroom or a Mario mushroom?
Like a fake mushroom. Like a tiny mushroom.
Like, does it just look like
will
a pot of
Will you not wear the mushroom earring?
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks. Now we're going to have to wait until the earring parlours open up. And you're going to get your ear pierced.
Oh, I thought Hayley was going to pierce my ear.
For safety reasons, we're not going to do that.
Okay, I'm less scared to get my ear pierced now.
We are going to get your ear pierced. You're going to wait the appropriate 4 to 6 weeks that it takes before you can change your piercing, which you probably won't wait that long. And then you will wear tiny mushroom earrings.
Wait, I'm getting both ears pierced?
However many Hayley deems appropriate.
Are you guys paying for this? The show budget is my personal bank account. All of this shit you see here, I paid for. Courtney keeps saying that she'll contribute to the show budget, and I just keep paying for everything.
I bought lunch today, alright?
These mic stands were like $30 each.
What?
This XLR cable was $29 for 2.
That's not a bad deal.
I'm going to cut that bit out because I don't want to dox myself.
I'm just putting this on record now, even though we've already said it. We will do anything. Anything.
Please sponsor us.
Anything for our sponsors.
Oh, speaking of which, there is something that I wanted to introduce to the show. And I was going to save it for the second episode, but it's like kind of reminded me. Like a friend of mine was sponsored by this company. I was like, we should try get sponsored by this company. But I already bought the product, so I doubt they're going to sponsor us.
Right.
And it's been hiding in plain sight. This is a product called Served. Courtney. Mm-hmm. Would you describe our friendship as
Friendship?
BFFs or bros? There is a right answer here.
Bros.
Okay, good. So they had a BFF set or a bro set. I really don't know what this is. So it's like a couples card game, but they made it for like
bros.
For friends. They made a new edition for friends. It's supposed to be 2 men.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Okay, so basically, we each get half a stack of cards.
Righto.
And they allow us to make the other do anything we want, essentially. So for an example, that's not it, yeah. The beer bar on card. Bring the beer, bro, unless you want me to be weird and sober. So Courtney can give me this card, and I will have to bring beer to her house, or any alcohol she chooses. I think it'll be fun to play these on while it's recording.
So what I'm hearing here is, at least for the first season of this show, is that we are going to get half a stack of these cards each.
Yeah, I believe they're separated into players 2 and 1.
I'm the alpha, so I'll be player 1.
Did you keep some of the player 2 cards, Sarah?
No, I did not. They're all the player 1 card. I got 1 player 2 card.
So, yeah. We'll be doing this. We'll keep you updated. We're probably just going to play it off camera mostly, because I don't think a lot of these work on camera, but there will be some that we can play on camera. So, yeah.
What I'm hearing here is Served need to make a podcast version of these.
So, should we blow this out, or should we just say their name?
Thank you for today's third sponsor.
Did you hold that behind the table? Thank you for today's sponsor. This is a terrible bit. I'm probably going to cut most of this.
We're going to cut most of this episode. Thank you to our sponsors. Please follow us on all our other social medias that we're making. We're really trying to make an effort. Thank you for watching today's episode. We really appreciate it. Okay, bye!